Namanim, I am Tahir Dhindsa and you're watching SDTV. CPEC is a great project. Once upon a time, it was termed as the game changer. Still, I think it is a game changer because if China can redirect its trade, which is north-south corridor, and again extract energy from the same corridor, which is south-north corridor. It's the biggest competitor of the east-west corridor, which Mr. Joe Biden has been calling as the building back better. Because from that corridor, they would follow the trade between India and the Central Asia and the Europe, and the energy would flow in the other corner. But unfortunately, for the past few years, for different even, it seems there's a feeling that it is stuck now. Phase 1 was very good, which was road infrastructure, energy infrastructure. Like if you want to open up a shop, you need electricity, road, and digital communication. For that was done. But the phase 2, which was being termed as that there was be relocation of Chinese manufacturing industry, which they don't want to keep on there because of the higher wages. And for others similar, like Japan moved out some of the manufacturing to Malaysia and other, and that happens when you grow. That I think seems to be stalled. We have today with us Mr. Wang Shengjie. He's the head of the political and press section in Chinese embassy in Pakistan, and he's the focal person of CPEC. Mr. Yang, very warm welcome.
Thank you.
Where do you see, and I'm straight away come to the first question. It seems that the CPEC is stalled not because of the China or Pakistan or the bad performance or the inefficiency, but it's a simply struggle between the Greater West and the China.
Well, being a guest and also diplomat, I should use more diplomatic way to answer.
Right.
But somehow, I would suggest to change the word to describe the status of the CPEC currently. And for our standing, it has not been stopped or got stopped. And we know that for the initial stage, that we call it the early harvest period, normally we will focus on 4 main areas besides Guadar, the energy part, infrastructure, and industry. And as you just said, that energy is related closely to everybody's daily life, the development of the economy, and it is also the most heavily invested with the most visible achievements made sector under the framework of the CPEC.
Obviously.
And also, as well as for the infrastructure part, the road buildings, everybody will see that once it is finished. So for this, the first phase of CPEC, because we have these so many large-scale projects which are more visibly seen by the public audience. So that's why we have seen the booming of this CPEC taking the initial stage. And for the second phase, because with the development of the economy being given the already foundation and served by the CPEC projects, we should give more focus or priority things to develop the fields like the agriculture, the industry, and the IT sector, as well as the science and technology. For when it comes to these parts, actually, compared with those large, big-scale projects, the progress and achievements will be less visible, but will have long-run tangible. So if you can understand my point, then we should have more confidence for the second phase of the CPEC. And recently we just have the special representative and the vice premier of China, He Lifeng. He visited Pakistan. It was a very successful and fruitful one.
Right.
This year we have the joy is to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the CPEC. And also during the meetings with dignitaries of the countries, Vice Premier He Lifeng, he raised some kind of the keywords for the next phase of CPEC. That is, we should have a growth CPEC, always to enjoy the steady development of the CPEC. And second, we should have innovation CPEC. We should have, as I said, that science and technology will be main part of the next phase. So we should have more innovations. The intelligence, the artificial AI technologies, big data things, they will help a lot to give a better performance of the Pakistan local engineers, which are very prominent and also abundant in the quantity. So we should give their platforms and take much advantage of their potentials. And also we should have the Green CPEC, as what we just had a seminar initiated by the SDPI. We all enjoyed a very pleasant conversation talking about how to do the green transition for the energy part of the country and have an optimized mix of the energy sector. So this is also one of the trend. And another is that we should have enhance people's livelihood CPEC, which will have more the small but beautiful scale of the projects are closely linked as to improve their livelihood things. So this will be also another trend. The fifth keyword would be the open CPEC. And we have just enjoyed the setup of the SAFC, as well as much potential and future investors in other countries. I think the CPEC should be open, transparent, and also welcome for the third-party corporations.
Yeah.
Yes.
IMF and the World Bank report a year back said that there would be a loss of productivity of about $4 trillion in the Western Europe, and now we see that is happening. And at the same time, the new money, which obviously they get from the disinvesting in Europe, and because of the OPEC plus 3 states, the Qatar, UAE, and the Saudi Arabia will have a lot of it, would be loaded with funds and the sovereign funds, and that is happening now. China played a very key part in creating peace by bringing Iran and Saudi Arabia, on the Yemen war. Do you see any chance that the CPEC is extended beyond Pakistan and North-South Gwadar to these countries as well in some recent times?
Yes, and this is also what we were willing to discuss with the Pakistan side, as to explore the future possibilities to extend the CPEC beyond the only bilateral perspectives, but also to make more benefits to the region and beyond. And we know and also appreciate Pakistan has already started its transition from the geopolitics to geoeconomy, which serves the fundamental needs of the country as well as will bring more benefits to the peoples. And one of the main reasons or the fundamental basis to give this happen is, I assume that personally, I think the CPEC, because CPEC just give this kind of the connectivity. So once the Afghanistan got stable situation and to have its economy booming, with the CPEC we can have direct connections to the Central Asia as well as the Middle East countries. So that's why I think for this it is really promising and it's worth trying.
You're trying. The biggest population right now next door is India. It's the largest country on planet. How about including India?
Indian side, actually, when it's come to a general for the international community, we are always saying that the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiatives, actually is also inclusiveness, and we are open and always welcome for anyone who is real interested and support to this initiative to enjoy the third party or whatever corporations to whatever in whatever format. So I think for India it is also the same. So we don't have any specific policy towards specific country. So once, as I said, that in principle support, interest, and willing to cooperate, I think the floor is always open.
Where do you see this cooperation next 5 years? You must have some assessment on a real basis, on the statistical data, what is happening on the political front, what is the global picture, what the energy prices, everything. How do you see this relationship, especially on the CPEC next 5 years and generally on Pakistan?
Well, it's a big question, and it would be difficult for me to elaborate with just reading very few sentences, and in essence, I would say I'm quite confident about the future and whatever in 5 term or 10-year terms, because China, one of the key for success, we make long-term plans with the visionary thinkings. And when it comes to CPEC, we should make full of our knowledge and experience to jointly work with Pakistan and figure out what will be most suitable for the countries. And as I just said, that we have to make the country to enjoy a more industrialized, urbanized, digitalized era. That is the promising future of the countries. So one of the things that we have to increase the competitive edge of Pakistan's export. So export capability, it comes to the commodities, it can also refer to the manpower. So I think we should have much to discuss within this field. And also when it comes to CPEC as a whole, CPEC is not merely an economic project. For my understanding, actually, it is a very comprehensive one. It covers every field of currently the bilateral cooperation. It is starting from 1+4, the initial pattern. Now we have totally 11 joint working groups. So whatever things related with the bilateral cooperation, concrete practice of the cooperation projects, we can put it under the framework of the CPEC. So once it has become like a symbol of China-Pakistan friendship, so everybody should have this kind of the confidence for its future.
Last question. The Yuval Noah Harari, who has written *Sapiens*, he once said that once a fiction is accepted as a fact, it becomes almost a religion. And it's the power of fiction that propels nation, not merely the facts, which is narrative. So I was thinking, do you think all this political struggle and everything, do you think that there should be a very close cooperation on the media front as well, especially the digital media between, like on Speak, like China and Pakistan, especially with the focus on CPEC, which is not there up till now?
Yes, so when it comes to this topic, I would really just appreciate for the efforts made by you and also the SDPI for have this kind of the studio and giving a new platforms for people from different fields to express their views about different topics, which SDPI is initiating or interested in. And media is very important one. It is called the power sector. So it enjoys a very important advantage. Meanwhile, also the responsibility to have some exerted influence on the general public. So the CPEC, of course, everybody welcomes that. And internally, Pakistani people, I think, to support CPEC, it has a cross-party, cross-region, cross-sector consensus. And we really also appreciate for this. And somehow, because of the misinformation, disinformation, and even sometimes with the AI technology, they can make the false news just in a very industrialized way. So always, I think people have easily to get flooded by this kind of the information. So it will make people more difficult to think independently and with a good vision. So this is somehow the challenges faced to everyone, not here in Pakistan, but also in China as well as the worldwide. So that's why I think the media, the digital medias, it should play a very positive role in this sector, because normally sometimes we have to say the media is dominated by the
political interest
as well as the US or Western medias. So sometimes they would portray some kind of the narrative trap. Instead of what we always listen to is that the death trap, but I would say we should be cautious and mindful about those narrative trap. Do whatever that you think it is serve the fundamental needs of the country, and do it in a confident and independent way. This is only the success that we should have if we obey this kind of the principle.
Thank you very much. And one of the bottom line is that it's the narrative also that causes problem, and sometimes it throws spanner into the way of the progress, as our guest has just explained that the progress on the phase 2 is quite all right, but because it is in the specific sectors and it's not visible on the roads like infrastructure, and so it's not that much visible. So I think it's very heartening to understand that the progress of the big project is going toward its success. With this, we come to the end of the program. Please keep watching our program.